Hello, Les Bobbick with John Deere here again, and what we're going to do in this video is take you through some of the run screens for our C-Series commodity air carts as well as our relative flow blockage system. So you can see here with this split screen you can currently monitor the cart and the blockage system simultaneously. But let's take a little bit of a more in-depth look at each one of the machine's run screens. So I'm going to flip over to a dedicated page for my C650 cart, and what we can see here is now we have the buttons that we can do some additional control or settings to the cart. But to give you the information on the run screen here, starting from the top, I can see which tank I'm currently working with, whether it be the mini, front, middle, or rear tanks, and just above it here I can see the actual weight of product remaining in the tank, and then I have a little bar graph here that's giving me the relative amount of product that's left in each one of those tanks. Below it, I have my tank clutch controls where I can engage or disengage the clutch for each one of the tanks. So for instance, if I wanted to shut off the meter clutch for that mini tank, I simply depress the clutch button there, and I can see that that clutch is now off, and we can see the rate has gone to 0. Just depress it again, and once again clutch is on, and we're going to see it's going to begin to start applying product. Another thing I have for me here is these plus and minus buttons. If you have the variable rate system enabled on the machine, what I can do is I can use the plus or minus. You see my target rate is 4.9 pounds per acre, and if I just bump it up here, I have my increment set to 0.1 of a pound. You can see that 5.1 is my target, and you can see my rate is going up by 1/10 of a pound at a time here on my simulator. All right, and then at any time I want to take it back down, I can just bump that number back down once again. Okay. Next thing I have here is my section status. So if I am using section control, if it is in the green light on here, that means that section control has commanded that section on and it is currently applying seed. Where that if it turns black, that means that that gate has been told to close by section command. The last thing is that if you see a red dot showing up here, that means that the gate has been told to close, but something is physically obstructing it from getting it to the right position. So maybe if there was some seeds that were jammed in behind the gate, that would give an indication as to what is going on there. Next, we have our pick 6 here, whereas we showed you in another video, if I simply depress it, I can choose between those 6 preset rates that I want to have dialed in on the machine. Here, I can set my fan limits as well as I have my current fan speeds being displayed. Down here, I have my manual clutch control. So typically this is operated by section control or by a master switch or a implement switch on the machine. But what I can do here is I simply depress it, I can take manual control of the clutch being on or off on the machine. Then of course here I have 2 drop downs where I can choose what I want to be monitored. I can choose between my ground speed, 2 acre counters, or I could see my productivity in acres per hour with the machine. And then last but not least, I have my manual cart brake controls. And with the cart brake controls here, what this allows me to do is apply the service brakes on the cart, but it's not going to be applying the brakes on the tractor. Where then if I hit the brake pedal on the tractor, it'll apply the tractor and cart brakes simultaneously. Where then if I hit this button, let's say that I'm going to be seeding going down a hill, I can, allow the tractor to keep pulling, but I can hit this button and it is going to apply the brakes on the cart alone. In this area here, if there's any warning messages popping up, I can just simply hit that cycle button there and it'll flip through those screens. Well, if we head on over to the blockage system now, here's a run page of our relative flow blockage. So what we can see here is that on the top, there is the status of my top set of primaries, and there's the status of my bottom set of primaries on the machine. Now what you have here around each one of those primaries is we could see this black bar that's going to be increasing and decreasing there. That's showing me the relative amount of flow for each tower. So I can compare with the bottom set of runs here. You can see how much flow is coming relatively out of each one of them. In comparison, here's the flow relative to all the top sets of runs on the machine. Next, what we see here is in this line, this is the product flow for each individual run out of a tower. And if you see, you can see that little black triangle that's moving around. You see now it's on number 2. What it does is that it finds the tower that has the greatest variance in flow, and it's going to automatically jump to it so you can take a closer look at it. But if I wanted to home in on one tower and monitor its flow a little bit closer, so let's say I wanted to keep a closer eye on number 2 here, I just touch it and you can see now I have that open triangle showing up there. So now I'm locked in on tower number 2, and I can keep an eye on the relative flow run to run to run on that machine as it's out there performing in the field. And what you have with this green bar graph down here is that is showing me the performance of the worst opener on that machine. And then so I can see how the poorest one is doing there, and then I can come here and dial in to find out exactly which one it is. Last but not least here, if I did have one of the runs plug, it would be displayed in red here and here. So if number 9 was to plug on me, I would see red shown here and here. So I know I would go to tower number 2, run number 9, and that would be my plugged one. Also, what I can do if I simply touch right here, you could see that now I have shut off manually that tower there. So if there was some instance where you wanted to shut that off, you have the ability to do that and bypass that sensor there. Okay. And as you can see from the key that we have here, green is good, red of course is blocked. Gold, that means unexpected flow. So if one of them was showing gold, for instance, what that means is that, let's say section command closed one of my meter gates, but there was still some product flowing through there. It's saying, hey, Mr. Operator, I'm seeing some flow when I shouldn't. That's when that color would be displayed there. And when we lift the drill up on the end of the turn, so we don't get nuisance warnings there, that's when the inactive is going to be displayed for us there. All right, so that's a look at, in a little bit closer detail, the run screens for both my C650 cart and my blockage.